Hi everybody, this is Sayaji Dan,
Saya Miles.
and we are teaching the cross form for the walker today. As you guys learned in the stepping pattern remains essentially the same for the walker. There's only one little change, and that is in the last sequence. So you use your abbreviated stances within the walker in the cross form. The cross form is about moving, and we're focusing on the idea of pivoting our body and moving within the walker structure. We're not moving the walker with us a whole bunch of different places. For the cross form, your walker is relatively sedentary and in place, which is nice. But it means you really need to focus on shifting your weight and turning your spine when you do this. All right, we begin with our feet together and our hands down, and we're going to bow in. So what I'd like you guys to do is get all the way over to the left side of your walker so that you can bow in and step out to your right. Okay, so you get over there and you bow in. And then you step out and you can grab your walker or put your hands down. If you can put your arms out, that's very pretty and beautiful. But since this begins traditionally with the arms out, grab your walker and get reset. Okay? Now, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your hands and you're going to come across your body and do this. If you can clamp over, you're going to clamp your hands and drive your knee up. And that's because somebody's either kicking at you or punching low at you or punching down. So you're redirecting into a clamp, pulling the clamp into you, and kicking up underneath with a snapping front kick. Right? Then you're going to step forward to your in stance with an outside block. Okay? And you can use your walker for balance if you need to, but if you don't need to, chamber. All right? Then you're going to pivot your feet and short punch forward and out at that angle into the opponent with short punch right. Then you're going to come back with that secondary we've talked about. Okay? And if you need to hold on to your walker to do your secondary, that's fine. If somebody grabs your hand and you have to push them away, use them as your balance point to do your secondary, that's fine. But in the form, I want you to grab your walker or chamber. Okay? Good. And that's the first sequence. Let's do that first sequence again and walk through it. Remember, you've got to turn your body for the blocking. You've got to pivot and bando sway. So first we bow in. We step out. We get nice and tight. Now we catch and kick on the right. We step out to a right in stance with that left outside block. We turn and short punch right. Then we step back with the secondary. And now in this form, you're immediately going to do that again, but on your left. So catch and kick on your left and kick. There it is. Step out with your outside block right. Pivot and short punch left. And then step back with the secondary. Okay? That's the first sequence. The first sequence, honestly, is either the hardest or the second hardest sequence in this form. The first and last sequences are the difficult ones. The middle sequences are teaching you appropriate punches to go with that swaying, double blocking, crossing blocking motion we're working on. Okay? So sequence 2 is an L stance. So you can position yourself near the front of your walker and step back into that L stance we've been teaching you. You're going to go X, L stance with an overhead block and a low block. Okay? So if you're stepping to the right, it's overhead right. If you're leaving your left foot forward, you're low blocking over your left, just like in the point form. But you're bringing an overhead block this time because the next move is turning your body on the spine and cross block, sweep block. Then keep turning, long punch. Then you step back up and you secondary. Okay? Then we'll do it on the left side. You go to an X, you adjust into your walker, get into your stances. You're going to high block overhead, low block down low, and then cross block and outside block with that sweeping block. Turn and long punch, and then step up with your secondary. Let's go through that second sequence again. Follow along with us. We're going to go really slow. Ready, X, L stance right with overhead block and low block. Cross block right, sweep block left, long punch right, step up, secondary right. Now we do the exact same thing on the left side. X, L stance left with an overhead block left and a low block right. Cross block left, sweep block right. Long punch left. Step up, secondary left. Okay? So you can see, now we're getting into turning and swaying and punching, letting our body generate power. So if we're in and we're blocked and locking ourselves into our walker for balance, Let's try to turn on our spine and shift our weight as much as we can between legs so that our head's moving. We don't want to just do this. We don't want to leave our head here. We want to shift our head here and here and here. That's what I want to see you working on. Head back, head forward, head back, head forward. Shifting over your thighs as you're locked into your walker. Okay? That's the second sequence. Now the third sequence and the fourth sequence are pretty much the same as that, but you're locking in different stances. You're not locking in an H or an L, excuse me. Now you're going to lock in your in stance. So you go to your X block, you go to in stance right with an overhead block and a low block. Keep your low block out here in front of your walker. Okay? And then cross block, sweep block. See how his head's shifting? And then pivot into a short punch again because you came forward this time. So you're closer, no long punch. Pivot in with that short punch and then secondary. Okay? Good. Now go to your X and go to in stance left with an overhead block and your low block. Okay? Cross block left. Sweep block right. Short punch left this time. In stance is short punch. And then secondary. So you see how close that is to the last sequence? It's almost the same thing. Okay? It's just a different stance which translates to a different punch. But it's still stance, crossing block, punch, secondary. Okay? That's what you're going to do for L stance, in stance, and now H stance. So you go to your X, you go to an H stance right with that overhead and low block, then you pivot and do your cross block right, sweep block left, and now it's a long punch again. Long punch, secondary, same hand, right. X, do your H stance left with the overhead, and look, see how he's leaning? He doesn't want to lean too far. All right, you don't want to do that. You want to lean right here. Get locked in, do your sweep and your sway, cross block, and then long punch left, secondary left. Okay? So that's the same for the L stance and the H stance. You'll be doing the same motions, just a different stance. On the in stance, you'll be doing a different punch as well. All right? Then we have one last sequence, and this is a more difficult sequence. Sequence 5, you go into your X. You're going to turn against your walker in high-low, clearing the gap here. Okay? The kick is coming in. You cannot direct it outside. You move your body out of the way to your walker. It's a high-low if you can. If you can't, grab your walker with this hand. Right? Because this is the block. So we like the high-low, but if you have to grab your walker to hold your balance when you do this, that's fine. And if you bend more than this, you're losing your balance. So don't bend way over like this. Stay up as high as you can and just get this arm past you and try to knock that kick into here. And now you've got to do your cross block, sweep block. Okay, so you did your low. If you have to grab one, that's fine, but then your arm has to come up and cross and sweep. And now you're going to, after you do your sweep block, you're going to have to do a draw punch. So this hand's going to cover your head, and the other hand's going to reach around here, and you're going to step out, and you're going to do your draw punch. Now, you see how he just did a really nice draw punch? That's great. If you can't do that without losing your balance, your cover hand can pull down and grab, and then you can reach across and draw a punch. But you see that takes a longer time. Okay, so you have a delay in your punch that way. So that's why it's not optimal. You want to be able to cover and draw. All right? And if you can't, you can cover and draw and grab. And if you can't do that, you can cover, grab, and draw. Okay? But each one is a little slower and a little less risky. So perfect form would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And of course, yeah. All right. Then we have to do it on the other side, of course. Ready? So then we cross over here, and we go 1, and then cross block, sweep block, 2. Blocking hand out here is the covering hand. Chambered hand is the drawing hand. Draw punch. So cover and draw punch. Boom. Okay? And then that left hand becomes your secondary as well. Okay? Now, in the walker form, for the secondary punches, I like your feet separated, not together. That's why Cy Miles is staying like that. He likes his feet separated. I like your feet separated. In the full mobility, I make everybody stomp down and do this punch, and it's very pretty and very beautiful, whatever you want to say, but it's not practical in the least. And so in the walker, I like using the walker as part of the aka. I think that's more beautiful. I think that's more artistic. I like to include my tools. And so when I do that secondary in this sequence, I like to be locked into my walker. I think it's more beautiful. Okay? So that's why he's not bringing his feet in and stomping for count 4. All right, I want to walk through the whole form now with you real slow, Simons, and I mean real slow. And I want you guys to follow along and just try to stay up with the feet. We're going to walk through every single thing we do in the walker, okay? And I'm going to teach you the last sequence that finishes this form. Okay, feet together, and let's bow in, okay? You're going to bow in, and step out and get ready, okay? And again, you can lock in, and that's beautiful. If you got to hold on to your walker, that's also beautiful. Now, on the right side, you're going to do this crossing over. It's like a cross block, but it's not super high. It's down here because you're intercepting low, and you're going to trap, kick. That's count 1. You're going to step into your in stance and outside block. That's count 2. You're going to pivot and short punch right. That's count 3. You're going to step back with your secondary. That's count 4. Now you're going to do it on the left side. You're going to come across and catch and kick. You're going to step into your in stance. Outside block, that's count 2. You're going to pivot and short punch left. That's count 3. You're going to step back and do your secondary. That's count 4. Okay? Now you have to do your L stance sequence. You're going to go X, get into your L stances with overhead and low block, cross block, sweep block, turning your body, pivot back in, long punch right, step up, secondary right. Now do it on your left side. X, step back into your L stance, overhead low, cross block left, sweep block right, long punch left, step up, and secondary. Now we go to our in stance. X, in stance right with overhead and low block, cross block right, sweep block left, short punch right, secondary punch right. X, go to the left, in stance left, overhead low, cross block, sweep block, short punch left, and secondary left. Now we go to our H stance. H stance right, high and low, cross block, sweep block, pivot, long punch. Make sure your shoulders pivot and this turns way out. And step back, secondary punch. Now your H stance left. X, H stance left with overhead and low, cross block and sweep block, pivot, long punch left, and secondary punch left. Now the last sequence we're going to do, turn to your walker, high, low, double block, cover left, draw punch right, secondary punch right. Okay, turn to the left, get to your walker, high, low, cross block, sweep block, cover right, draw punch left, secondary left. Now you're not done. Okay, you pull your hands to a chamber. And to finish, we're going to teach you a new concept that we use a lot in advanced bundle, the double punch. You're going to take both hands in long punch. You're going to turn your thumbs down, bring them in, and both hands secondary punch. All right, and that's how we finish the form. Then it's X and down. Show that again. We chamber, we double long punch, and then we double secondary. And then we X and down, okay? And that's how this form is finished. You got to add in that double punch, double secondary, and that's how you finish this form. All right? Practice this form. Get these sequences down individually, then put them all together. And when you've got them all together, you can go to the practice video and train there.